welcome back. So there's only about 10 weeks left till Christmas, so I figured I'd go ahead and compile a video of all of my favorite Dollar Tree DIYs from last year so you guys can take a look and see what you want to DIY this year, so that way you're ready to decorate for the season when it's time. If you're new here and you like home decor and DIYs on a budget, stick around by hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell for notifications. Let's get started. For this first DIY, I found this gold poster board at Dollar Tree. I thought it was super pretty and needed to do something with it. So I decided to make some cone trees, and that is such an easy DIY to do. All I needed to do was take one of the poster boards and start at one of the corners and just wrap it until it made a cone. Once I got to the top, I added a little bit of hot glue around there and then continued to add a little bit of hot glue on the seam just to hold everything together. Now the only thing I needed to do was make this even at the bottom so that way it sit nicely on a table. So I just used some scissors and I cut that unevenness off of the bottom. Just follow the circle around, and then when you get most of it cut off, you can kind of figure out where you need to trim at to make it more even and stand it up to see which side needs a little bit more off. And then I kind of did crush it just a little bit, but not enough to crease it, just to even it out to make sure I got it all cut. And then I made one big cone out of one poster board, and then I got another piece of poster board and cut that in half. Well, actually a little more than in half. So one side was a little bit bigger than the other side. And then I made two more cones out of another piece of poster board. They were just smaller than the first cone. I did the same thing. I just rolled it at one corner until I got the cone shape, and then I hot glued the seams to hold it down in place, and I cut the bottoms off evenly to make them sit nicely and flat on the tabletop. This is such an easy and inexpensive DIY, and you can embellish this however you would like, or you can leave them plain, set these on a mantle, a tabletop, add some greenery. It's really up to you, or just keep it simple like this. I think these turned out beautiful, and this gold poster board is perfect for DIYs. For the second DIY, I picked up some more of that gold poster board because I wanted to make some paper stars. They're really easy to make. All I'm going to do is take one of the poster boards, and I'm going to just take a ruler and measure out 10 inches by 10 inches so that way I have a square. And then I just cut that out with my scissors after I got it all measured, and then I used that square to cut out a second square. You need 2 squares for one paper star. So once I got both of the squares all cut out, I am going to take one of the sheets and I'm going to fold that upwards and crease that, and then I'm going to fold it in half again to basically make a square, smaller square, and make sure that that is creased. And the only bad thing about creasing this poster board is the gold does come off a little bit, so you want to make sure you have some gold metallic paint, either brush on or spray paint, to kind of just dab it on where the paint comes off, but it's really easy to touch up. After I folded it in half twice, I unfolded it, and now I'm folding it into a triangle, and then unfolding that and then folding the opposite side into a triangle to have everything nicely creased so that way I can see where I'm folding for my points. Now that everything is creased, I'm just going to take my scissors, and on the sides I'm going to cut just about halfway up. You don't want to cut too much, but you don't want to cut too little, and you want to do that on all 4 sides on those creases that you made. And then you're going to take the corners and you're going to fold those in to make 4 triangles, and those are going to be the points of your star. And then to keep those points together, you just take a little bit of hot glue and add that to one side of the triangle, and then just hot glue the other, just pull that other side over that hot glue, and it makes a 3D point. And then you have one side of your star, and then the other 10-inch by 10-inch piece of cardboard, you're going to do the exact same thing with and make the exact same star. And then all you're going to do is just flip one upside down and then one on top of that, and make the points so that they're sticking out from the other points, and hot glue them together. Super easy. Also, don't forget to add a hanger before you do this, because I did, and I had to come back and add my hanger later, but I just, I had a little bit of a hole in one side, so I was able to just take the ribbon and push it down in that hole and hot glue it down there, and then hot glue the ribbon on top. And I love how these turned out. They are so pretty. I was able to make one 10-inch star and two 8-inch stars from one piece of poster board. And you can hang these from your ceiling, from Garland, wherever you'd like to in your home to decorate for Christmas. For this next DIY, I'm going to make this wreath with one of these rings from this 3D wreath form. I couldn't find the just regular gold rings at Dollar Tree, so I just picked up one of these wreath forms, and then I'm just going to use that for this DIY. And then I'm going to take these wintry, snowy picks from Dollar Tree and some floral wire, and then I'm just going to bend my pick and place that around my wreath form, so that way it follows the curve of the wreath. And then I just use my wire to tie the floral picks on, and I just overlapped them as I went around the ring and used the wire to hold everything together. I used 12 picks in all to go all the way around the wreath and fill it completely up. You can customize this wreath to your liking and use any Dollar Tree picks that they have. They have so many different kinds of Christmas ones out for this season. I thought these ones were new and pretty to make a simple wreath with. And then once I got all of the picks wrapped around the wreath form, I'm going to take 3 of these gold bells from Dollar Tree and some twine, and then I just used the twine to go through the bells and tie them onto the bells. And once I got all 3 of the bells strung with the twine, I am going to take them and group them together and then just stagger them at different heights and then tie them together and then tie that on to the wreath. And you can add a ribbon or a bow or anything you'd like to this. It's up to you, but it's really easy and really pretty to make. I just hung this from one of my mirrors with a command hook, and I love how it turned out for Christmas. This next DIY is food related. I saw these cute little charcuterie boards at Dollar Tree in the plus section for $5, so I picked up one. And then I have been wanting to make one of these buttercream boards, but I didn't want to make my own buttercream, so I picked up some already made icing from Dollar Tree and I colored one of them green and I placed it in a piping bag with a star tip on it. Now I already had the piping bag and the star tip, but they do have plastic tips at Dollar Tree, and if you don't have a piping bag, you can always use a Ziploc bag and put your icing in that to pipe it out. Or you can just spread it on. I just started piping it out into a tree design, and the more icing, the better. So I just put it on all on the board, and you can make any shape or design you would like. I just chose the tree because I thought it would be the easiest. And then I also put in some yellow icing in a piping bag, and I made a star at at the top, I just used a circle regular tip for that, or you didn't even need to use a tip for this. You could just cut the piping bag. And then I just started adding my sweets to the board, my cookies. You can choose anything you like to add to your board. I just picked up whatever Dollar Tree had, and I thought the icing would taste good on. And I placed them all around the tree, and that was it. I think this would be perfect to take to a holiday party or just have for a movie night and a snack with the kids. And all you have to do is pick up a cookie and dip it in the icing, and it's delicious. For this DIY, I'm going to use 3 of these metal candlestick holders from Dollar Tree. I painted mine with some gold spray paint. You can paint them whatever color you like or leave them black, whatever matches your Christmas decor. And then I found 3 of these Nutcracker candles from Dollar Tree, and I thought it would be cute to place them on top of the candlestick holders. So I'm just going to hot glue each one of them to a candlestick holder, and they hold down really well. I love how this turned out. Obviously, you never want to leave an open flame unattended, and you want to make sure that this is somewhere where it's not going to get knocked over, but they turned out really pretty, and I love how they look on my mantle. For this last DIY, it is perfect if you have a blank wall you want to decorate for Christmas, or if you just don't have enough room for a big Christmas tree. You can make your own with some of this pre-lit garland that comes from the plus section at Dollar Tree for $5. And I'm just going to use some of these hooks that are command hooks that I already had, but Dollar Tree does have hooks. I just couldn't find them. And then I'm going to use the mounting tape from Dollar Tree to place on my hooks, because that holds up better than the command strips. So I just started off with placing a hook onto my wall and then hanging the garland on the hook, and then coming across and hanging another hook and hanging my garland right across from that. And then I'm going to start zigzagging my garland all the way down. And I just hung my hooks at each corner of the zigzag as I came down. And then once I got to the end here, I'm going to add another strand of garland. So I used 2 strands of this garland. They are 12 feet each, so 24 feet in total to make this Christmas tree. But I just kept zigzagging it down and going just a little bit further out as I'm zigzagging it down to make it look like a Christmas tree. Then once I was done, I needed a topper, so I took this gold star from Dollar Tree, and the little thing at the bottom is a little bit too long, so I just used some scissors to cut that, and then I hung the star with another hook at the top there. And then I plugged it in my lights. I added some ornaments from Dollar Tree just hanging off of the garland. I think that looks really pretty. And then to finish decorating it, I am just going to add this scrap piece of wood that I had stained, and I just added some baskets and a little blanket at the bottom, and I love how this turned out. Like I said, it's perfect for small spaces. For this first DIY, I picked up some of this brown striped fabric at Dollar Tree, which reminded me of Gingerbread Men. And I also picked up 2 of these Gingerbread Men felt pieces from Dollar Tree. I am actually going to only be making 1 pillow with this fabric in the Gingerbread Men, but as you can see here, I'm laying the fabric out, and I laid both of the Gingerbread Men onto the fabric, and you could make 2 pillows this way with 2 of the felt pieces and 1 piece of fabric. So what I did was I just laid the Gingerbread Man onto the fabric and traced around it with a piece of chalk, and then I just cut the fabric out with some scissors. Once I got that all cut out, I am just going to take one of the felt pieces, and I'm gonna lay my fabric on top of the felt piece, and this is how I'm gonna make my pillow. And I am just going to hot glue these together because I am not a sewer, so I don't like to do that. But if you are a sewer, please feel free and sew away. This would look so adorable with it being sewed, and it would probably last longer as well. But as you can see here, I am just using my hot glue, and I'm going just around the edges of the felt and then hot gluing the fabric to the felt gingerbread man. And then I left a hole at the top of his head so that way I could stuff the gingerbread man. I stuffed my gingerbread man just with some old pillow stuffing that I had lying around. I just made sure that I got it all the way down in the legs and in the arms. And then when I was done stuffing it, I just glued the seam together so that way he was all put together. And then I took a little pair of scissors and I'm just going around the outer edge where the fabric kind of sticks out of the felt, and I'm just kind of trimming that nicely so that way it just looks a little bit neater. And then I am going to go ahead and decorate my little gingerbread man. You can do this however you want. I just had some of this cream color fabric from Dollar Tree. I just cut a couple pieces off, and then I used some of the leftover fabric that I used on the back of the gingerbread man and made a cute little bow for around its neck. Just a regular bow. I just tied a piece of fabric around, and then I put the other two pieces of fabric in between that before I completely tied the bow so that way everything was intertwined. And then I just cut the pieces at the bottom to make it look nice. I added a few wooden buttons to his body. I just used hot glue for that. And then I went ahead and had some cream colored yarn that came from Dollar Tree as well, and I just made the little squiggles that go on the hands and the feet, kind of to make it look like icing. I just took my hot glue gun, made the squiggles, and then I set the yarn in place. And it turned out really cute. You could add a face if you wanted to, but I decided not to do that. This next DIY is really easy and simple. I picked up 3 of these wooden snowflake decor pieces from Dollar Tree, and I just went ahead and cut the top hangers off of each one of them. You can save the pieces of twine for later, and then I spray painted all 3 of these pieces with some of this warm caramel spray paint, which is the perfect gingerbread color. And then I took a white paint pen and I'm just going over each snowflake and adding detail, well, just highlighting the detail of the snowflake that's already there. And I just did that to all of the snowflakes on all of the strands, and it was really easy to do, and it looks like a iced gingerbread cookie when it's all done. So once that was finished, I just took all 3 of the pieces and I'm going to attach them together to give me one long piece of snowflake gingerbread garland. So here's where you could reuse the twine, but I ended up getting rid of mine. I lost it somehow. So I'm just going to use some regular twine and tie 2 of these snowflakes together at the ends. They line up with the holes, and then one snowflake doesn't have a hole and then the other one does, if that makes sense. So I just hot glued that piece of twine to the one that does it. And then I hot glued a couple extra pieces at the 2 beginning snowflakes to hang everything, and this turned out to be super adorable. For this DIY, I'm going to use the 3 of these LED Christmas trees, but I'm not going to use them as LED trees. I am going to spray paint them with that same warm caramel color to make them look like some gingerbread Christmas trees. Again, I used my white paint pen and I just highlighted all of the little branches or leaves or whatever that is sticking out of the tree, so that way it looked more gingerbready. I did that to all 3 of the trees. They're really tiny details, and this pin wasn't tiny enough to get into all of the details like I would have liked. So instead, I would recommend using a really teeny tiny paintbrush and some paint if you just want some more details to make them look a little bit more like gingerbread trees. Then I am going to use one of these metal tree collars from Dollar Tree. And this clear plastic bowl you can get in the catering party section of Dollar Tree. And I'm gonna hot glue the bottom of that bowl to the top of that tree collar there. And I'm gonna hot glue some of these styrofoam blocks inside that bowl. And I'm gonna be making a cute little snow globe. So I just needed that height with those styrofoam pieces in there. So I'm just gonna place my trees on top of them and hot glue them down. I think this would be really cute if you used one of the little houses that Dollar Tree sells as well. You could pretty much put anything inside of this that you would want. And then I just filled it with some of the foam balls from Dollar Tree, and then also some of the faux glittery snow from Dollar Tree, just to kind of mix it all up. And then for the top of my snow globe, I'm going to use another one of those same bowls, and I'm going to go ahead and use some of these foam scatter snowflakes from Dollar Tree, and I'm just gonna hot glue some fishing line onto them so that way I can hang them inside of my bowl. I didn't end up using all of the foam scatter. I only used the white pieces because I thought that looked the best. I didn't like the silver pieces, and then I also didn't end up using all of the white pieces. I just hot glued the fishing line to the top of the bowl, and then all I did was hot glue that bowl upside down on top of the other bowl, and then my snowflakes hung down. Now for the top of this piece, I'm going to use one of these metal pie plates, and I just hot glued it. I added some ribbon and I painted the top of that pie plate white just to sum it all up, but I didn't actually end up filming it for some reason, but it's really cute. I love how this turned out. For this last DIY, I picked up 2 packs of these mirrored wall decals that are houses from Dollar Tree, and also this piece of wood also from Dollar Tree. And I am going to take the houses and line them up on the piece of wood. They do have a sticky back to them, but you definitely need some hot glue or some sort of glue to reinforce them on the wood so they stay. Now I just took the bigger houses and spaced them apart, and then I took the smaller houses and put those kind of in front of the bigger houses, and I used all of them except for 3 of the houses. So I think that worked out pretty good, and then I hot glued just the bottoms of them on to the piece of wood, and the same thing with the smaller houses, just a little dab of hot glue. And I forgot to take off the plastic that goes over the mirror part before I hot glued everything together. So if you do this DIY, take off the plastic first before you hot glue everything down. Then after I got everything glued down, I spray painted it with that warm caramel color, and let it dry. I spray painted the back and the front of this. And then now I'm just taking some white paint, and I decided to use a little Q-tip, and then I just decorated the houses. So I kind of pulled up some pictures on Google of gingerbread houses and then just kind of got my own ideas and decorated each house a little bit differently to make them look like gingerbread houses. So my white paint pen ended up running out on me, and I ended up using the white acrylic paint from Dollar Tree to paint my designs on my houses. I did have to do a few coats for it to show up well. I think if I would have had some puffy paint, that would have worked a lot better and you would have been able to see the designs a lot more. But when it was finished, I did go ahead and spray this with some clear coat spray to protect the white paint from chipping off. And then I'm gonna go ahead and flip the houses over, and I just took a piece of wax paper and cut out a few squares to go on top of the windows, so that way it just covered the windows but you could still see through them. So I just hot glued those pieces of wax paper right over top of the windows and the heart on the gingerbread houses, and that worked really well. Lastly, I wanted my houses to light up, so I used some of these wired LED battery operated lights from Dollar Tree. It was actually perfect to put one light in each window. That was another reason why I covered the window with the wax paper, so that way you couldn't see the wires, you could just see the lights glowing through the windows. So I just twisted the wires and manipulated them to where I needed them to be, and then hot glued the pieces of wires on the houses where you couldn't see it, and glued the battery pack to the back of the houses, and this turned out super cute. This DIY, I was inspired by the viral videos of everybody going out and thrifting a picture and then repainting it to look Christmassy or more Halloween or fall or whatever. So I found this canvas at Dollar Tree, so it was only $1.25, and I thought this would be a great way to try this out and it won't be super expensive. So it's not a very big canvas, but it gives you a little scene that you can paint on and just kind of test out something that you would like. So I just started off with some acrylic paint from Dollar Tree. I just got a few different colors and I just used the white and just added it to the trees to make them look kind of snow covered. And then I also did it to the grass to make it look like it had snow all over the grass. And I don't have any painting skills, so this is just super easy. You can just blend it all in, and if you mess up, just add something else there. It doesn't have to be perfect. You do want to make sure that you get around the edges of the canvas on these Dollar Tree paintings because they go all the way around. They are wrapped. And then I came in with some more acrylic paint in some bright colors to make little lights on the house. I just went all around the roof on one side, alternating the colors so it looked like colored lights, and then did up the peak of the house as well. I thought that looked really cute. Obviously, there's so many things that you could do to this painting to make it look more Christmassy, and you can let your imagination run wild. So I just decided to do the lights on the house because I thought it was the easiest. I used a little toothpick and I dabbed that onto the paint and then dabbed it on to the canvas to make the lights, so just little dots. And then I decided that I wanted this to be more of a night sky, more dark, because it was kind of really light. So I just mixed some of the colors that I had together. I mixed the black and the white to make gray, and then I added some blue and some green in there. And then I just kind of put it all over the sky and blended it in as best as I could until I got a look that I liked. So there was no rhyme or reason to this and definitely no skill to this. I just kept painting until I liked it. And then I decided to add a full moon at the top there. I just filled that in with white, and then I used my blow dryer to kind of dry it really quickly, and then I went over it again with another layer of white. And then I just added some details with a little more gray in the moon and some yellow around it to make it look like it was glowing, and then just blended everything together. And then I had another idea that I was going to add to the painting, and that was Santa in his sleigh with his reindeer flying across the sky. And I was just going to make it a silhouette, so I just used black paint for this. The sleigh was pretty easy. I just kind of copied what I saw from a picture that I had up on my computer, and I just kind of made it look like that. The reindeer was a little more difficult. I had to draw that out with a pencil and then fill that in with the black paint, but I think it turned out really cute. The proportions aren't completely correct. The reindeer's a little bit bigger than the sleigh, but I think it's still adorable. I added a little red dot for the reindeer's nose, and I'm just going to display this on one of these display easels from Dollar Tree. I think this turned out super cute. It was easy, very inexpensive, something cute to sit on a table to just make it more Christmassy. So if you weren't into the last DIY or you don't like painting, this DIY could be your alternative. Well, it's not really a DIY, it's more of a hack. It's just as affordable, but it's easier actually. Dollar Tree has these beautiful Christmas bags that look just like paintings in all different sizes. So I picked up one that I liked and I brought it home and put it into this IKEA frame that I already had. It's 16 by 20 and it's matted and it fit perfectly into this frame. You could pick up a frame from Dollar Tree that fits your bag, or you could thrift one or use one that you already have, but it's super easy to do. It looks beautiful displayed in your home for Christmas time. Now, the camera isn't doing it justice here because of the glare, but let me tell you, I love how this turned out. For this next DIY, I'm going to use one of these fake books that come in the plus section for $5. Now, they do have smaller fake books at Dollar Tree that you can use, but my free printable won't work with that, obviously, or you'll have to size it down. I did make this free printable on canva.com, and I'll leave a link to it down below in the description box. So all you have to do is just print it out on regular paper or cardstock, whatever you want to use. When you do the back sheet, you want to make sure that you do a custom size for your paper for 7.5 by 11, and then the two smaller pieces, you want to make sure you do a custom size when you print them out to 4.5 by 11. So that way they fit fully onto your book. Of course, obviously, it doesn't fit all the way to the bottom because the book is bigger, but we'll be covering that up. So all I did was cut the white part off of those pieces of paper, and then I used some matte Mod Podge to stick those pieces of paper onto the inside of that book. Now, I just used these little houses from Dollar Tree, the little miniature houses that light up, to place inside my book here. Now you can see that the on-off switch in the battery case is on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of trace out with a pencil where that battery case is, and then I'm just going to use an X-Acto knife and cut out the bottom of that cardboard book. So it's pretty easy. There's a couple layers, so you'll want to score it and then pull off the first layer and then do the second layer, so that way you don't rip the book on the inside too much. And then you want to make it smaller when you draw it out, so that way you can cut a little bit more, and that way it won't be too big in the end. But yeah, it worked out perfectly. So now that way I can access the batteries and the on-off switch on the bottom, and you won't ever see that. Then I'm just gonna hot glue that house down into the book there. Next, I'm just gonna take some stuffing from an old pillow that I had, and I'm gonna use that to cover up the bareness of the ground and the sidewalls there that are showing. I just hot glued that inside there, just making sure that I pushed the stuffing down so that way it wasn't sticking up over the house, so it wasn't too high. You could also use cotton balls for this and just spread them apart. That would work as well. This is just what I had lying around. And then I added these cute little miniature trees from Dollar Tree. I just hot glued them to each side of the house. And I think that looked super cute like that. And then I also picked up one of the miniature sets with a little person sitting on the bench and then 2 little lamp posts, and I just hot glued those down. And once I did that, it kind of reminded me of the Home Alone like house, and the little boy on the bench just reminded me of Kevin also. So I just think this turned out super cute. I didn't mean for it to remind me of Home Alone, but it definitely does. And I love how it turned out. I mean, this would be perfect on a bookshelf or just sitting on a table. And when you open it up, you just get a nice little surprise for Christmas on the inside. For this DIY, I'm going to use one of these glass candle plates from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to spray paint it with this red spray paint that I have. It's called Paprika. You can use whatever red paint you have on hand, and I just spray painted it. And then I'm going to use 3 of these $1.25 Nutcrackers from Dollar Tree. I picked up 3 of the same Nutcrackers, 3 of the same styles. You can use different styles, but you want to make sure that they all stand the same height, so you don't have different levels of your Nutcrackers. And then my Nutcrackers had a little ball on the top of their hats that I needed to take away. So I got my wood burning tool out and I just pressed down on them and melted them till the hat was flat. You just want to make sure that you do this in a well-ventilated area and with a mask because the fumes are pretty stinky. And then I am going to take my Nutcrackers and stand them up in a circle facing outward. And once I get them the way I like, I'm going to add some heavy duty glue on top of their hats just around the outside. And then I added some hot glue on the inside to hold everything in place while the heavy duty glue held overnight. And then once everything was dry, I had this adorable Nutcracker candle holder for Christmas. I love how this turned out. It is perfect to display a candle on, and it's traditional and classic, which I absolutely love. You don't have to paint the Nutcrackers. You don't have to paint anything if you don't want to, or you could paint everything. So it turned out perfect. This next DIY is super easy, and I've done it before on my channel, and I'm pretty sure a few other YouTubers have done it too, and that is making pillows out of these placemats from Dollar Tree. So all I'm going to do is seam rip the sides from one of the placemats, and I'm not going to go all the way down. I'm just going to seam rip just a hole big enough so that way I can stuff this placemat. These placemats are perfect because they like have that swishy fabric, so they are perfect for outside, and that's why I'm stuffing them with old Dollar Tree plastic bags. This is a great way to recycle your bags, and they won't get moldy or anything putting these outside, so you won't have to worry about the stuffing on the inside of them. So after I get them all stuffed with the plastic bags, I'm just going to seal up that side with some hot glue. You can sew it if you want to, and that's it. I put them outside. You can do this with any of the placemats that Dollar Tree sells, and they look super cute on my front porch. I love this plaid pattern and the joy one. So for this next DIY, I'm going to use 3 of these metal broom handles from Dollar Tree. I just need to remove the labels off of them. To easily remove the labels, I use my hairdryer and just heat up the labels so that the glue melts, and then I can peel off the labels pretty easily. It only takes a few minutes. You just want to make sure that you don't burn your fingers while you're doing this because that metal gets kind of hot. So just be careful when you do that. So I removed the labels from all 3 of the broom handles, and then I placed them all together, and at the top there you see they have the holes. I took a zip tie and I put that through all 3 of the holes and tied all of those together and cut the excess zip tie. Now what I have is a tripod or a Christmas tree. So I stood my Christmas tree up, and I am just going to spray paint it with some of this green glossy spray paint that I had on hand. And I just made sure that I completely covered all of the metal inside and outside. You don't necessarily have to spray paint it if you don't want to. I just thought when it's standing in the daytime that it would look better if it was spray painted. So I went ahead and did that. And once it was dry, I took the tree and I moved it to where I wanted to move it to. I put it in to some dirt and some mulch so it was a little bit looser to pound the broom handles into the ground. So I just took a mallet and I pounded each individual broom handle kind of at an angle into the ground, and you can see how they are just going down at an angle into the ground so it holds up. Now this has been through a thunderstorm and some wind, so it is holding up nicely and it hasn't fallen over, but you could stake it down if you felt like it needed it. Then I took some white lights that I already had and wrapped those all the way around the tree so that way it lit up. Lastly, I felt like my tree needed a star, so I had one of these gold plastic stars from Dollar Tree, and I just cut the bottom off, and then I saved the twist ties that held it on to the cardboard, and I am just placing that star kind of in the middle, wedged in between the broom handles, and taking those zip ties and using those to tie those through the broom handles and the star so it holds it on nice and tight. And I made sure one of the lights was sticking up in the star so that way it lit up too. And I think this turned out really cute. Only for a few dollars, you can have a light up Christmas tree for outside. You can make a bunch of these if you had some lights laying around, and it will look super cute out. For my arch, I'm gonna start off with these 2 4-foot Christmas trees that come from the Dollar Tree Plus section for $5 each. I got the green ones. They do have a couple other different colors. If you can't find these at Dollar Tree, Five Below does sell 4-foot Christmas trees for $5.55, I believe. So you can use those if you can't find the Dollar Tree ones. And then I am going to set my trees inside these 2 planters. So I just spread them out opposite of each other, and these are plastic planters that are 15 inches tall, and I just want to heighten my trees inside them, so I'm going to put a Dollar Tree bucket upside down in it, and then I just weighed the lip of that bucket down with a brick so that way it didn't move, and then I added some dirt around the bucket, and then I placed my tree on top of the bucket, and then I added some more dirt on top of that, so I just kind of planted my tree inside of there. And you want to make sure that you are heightening your tree about 12 to 15 inches off of the ground with a planter or a crate or something, because that's going to give you the height for your arch that you need. If they just sit on the ground, it will not be as tall. So after I did that, I just fluffed out my tree and moved all of the branches so that way it looked a little bit fuller. And then I did the same thing to the other tree on the other side, and this is how both of them look opposite of each other. Now for the arch, I'm going to use 2 pool noodles. You can use whatever color you would like. These are just what I had on hand. And I'm just gonna put 2 of the ends together, and then I just used some duct tape to keep those ends together. I just kept wrapping it until I felt like it was secure enough. And then now this is what it looks like. I have 2 pool noodles put together, and it makes one long big one. And then I am just going to take that pool noodle, and on one side I'm going to insert that through the tree to the bottom there so that way it kind of sticks into the metal part of the tree. You can see here that I'm going through the top of the tree and then pushing it down kind of towards the metal so that way it holds it in place. And then I have my arch. Now, to make sure my arch doesn't sag or flop over when I start filling it in with greenery, I'm going to just use some fishing line, and I'm going to tie a piece right there in the middle. And then I just took an outdoor command strip and I hung that onto my soffit, and then I tied the fishing line to that command strip. And that's going to help hold this in place so that way it doesn't start dragging down or it doesn't fall back or fall forward. Now, if you don't have like a soffit area or something, you want this to set up against like your doorway or your pillars of your porch or something like that. You want to tie it around there so that way it doesn't sag or fall over on you. I did this on 2 more sides with the fishing line and the command strip. So I have 3 on all together. That way it holds up well. And then to cover my pool noodle, I am going to use these 15-foot pieces of garland from Dollar Tree. Believe it or not, 15 feet is not that long when you're wrapping it around the pool noodles. I ended up using 8 packages of the 15-foot garland. So I just wrapped it all the way around until I got to the end, making sure I covered up most of the white areas that I didn't want to show of the pool noodle. If you already have garland on hand, that would be great. You can use the garland that you have, so you don't have to go out and purchase new, but these are only $1.25, so it costs about $10 to wrap this arch part. And then after I got the greenery wrapped around the pool noodle, I went ahead and took some Christmas lights. These are just regular white Christmas lights that are, I believe, 100 count, and I already had these on hand. So I put 3 strands all the way around. I basically did 1 strand around each Christmas tree and then 1 strand around the arch and connecting them all together, obviously. That's basically it to setting up the arch, and then you can decorate it however you want with stuff you already have, or you can go and buy new stuff. So I found this ball garland from Dollar Tree that I thought was really cute. So I went ahead and hung that up onto the arch. I just picked the middle of the ball garland, and then I used a zip tie to zip tie that around the arch, and then I did it in 2 other places on each side, so that way it looked even. And then I just cut the pieces of my zip tie off, and then you can cover that with garland, or I decided to go around with some ribbon. I thought this cute plaid green and gold and red ribbon was really adorable from Dollar Tree. So I basically just cut off pieces. I didn't measure. The pieces were probably anywhere from 8 to 12 inches long is my guess, and then I dovetailed the ends just by folding the piece, and then you just cut the corner off on like a triangle off, and then that gives you your dovetail. And then to attach the ribbon to my garland, all I did was feed it through a piece of the garland and then have it come out, so that way it kind of looked like a bow. And then I did tie some of them in the middle to make sure that it was secure and stayed on. But if you just stick it in between a piece of garland and then you fluff out the ends, it works really well that way too. I just filled up the rest of the arch with the ribbon. It really made this arch look a lot fuller. This is an easy and inexpensive way to get the fullness to something like this without spending a lot of money. I used 2 packs of the $1.25 ribbon to put around this arch, and I just filled up the front of the arch. I didn't have to do the back of the arch, just the front of it was enough, and pulling those pieces of ribbon, just fluffing them out and across the garland just made it look really full. And you can go wild with this. You can put all kinds of different colors of ribbon in it. You can put picks in it. There's so many different things that you can do to customize this and make it your own. I just thought the ribbon and the ball garland looked really pretty on here, and that was the easiest and most inexpensive way for me to decorate this. I did put some of the ribbon in like this, where I just put a long piece, the top up through a piece of garland and then the bottom down through a piece of garland, and then kind of bubbled it out in the middle, so that way it kind of stuck out a little bit more. And then I also did double up on some of the ribbon and do it like in a crisscross pattern and place it through the garland as well, just to make sure that everything was full and looked good. And then I did put some of that ribbon also around the trees as well. I did basically the same thing I did with the garland, but I used the branches of the Christmas tree to wrap the ribbon around to hold the ribbon in place, since that those branches are flexible. And I used 2 packs of ribbon, 1 for each tree, to go around and fill up that tree. And then I also had a few of these Dollar Tree picks that had some pine cones and some berries on them, so I just placed them inside the tree, again using the branches of the tree to kind of hold them in place. I did 3, I think, on each tree, and it just kind of gives it a little bit more dimension. And then I also added a pack of these bulbs from Dollar Tree that are green, gold, and red. I just hot glued them to the tree branches so that way they wouldn't fall off and they would stay on better. So if you're walking by, you won't have bulbs falling all over the place. But I love how this arch turned out. I think it's beautiful to greet people for the holiday season by my front door. I spent around $40 on this arch. That's not including the planters that I already had and the lights that I already had. I'll leave a breakdown in the description box below of everything I used in case you are interested in making an arch yourself for the holiday season. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Happy holidays. Take care. Bye-bye.